Matcha tea, check. Headphones on. Mic, ooh, hello. Mic on. All right. First, I gotta sip the tea before I spill the tea. So our usual, we gotta do our tradition. This is an official tradition. This is how we begin. Cheers. There we go. Sip it. Sip. Yes, get the juices flowing. All right. Episode 3. We're here. We're actually here. Exciting, exciting, exciting. So, as I always say, I always start with an appreciation for all of you who have liked, shared, and subscribed so far to my podcast. So grateful for you guys. You guys are part of the grassroots project right now. So lots of love, lots of appreciation. And today, a lot of people reached out when it came to the poll that I put up when on my Instagram. And when I was searching for content, I really wanted it to resonate with the majority of the community. So I can obviously be talking about things that are worthwhile for you guys to listen to. And the reoccurring question that I was getting was about body image issues. And and I thought this was something that we've kind of nipped in the bud. I feel like so many people have talked about it. So many people have addressed it. So I thought it's done. But there's still so many people who want to talk about this.
I think it's like a reoccurring thing. And I think it's something that never leaves people's minds.
Yeah. And it's predominantly shown in the female community. But what I really wanted to acknowledge first before I start speaking as a female is that it is also largely in the male community as well, but it's not talked about or spoken about because we just assume that guys are okay. You guys don't have you don't have the issues that women do, but being in a gym and working in a gym and working and talking to clients and members who become close to you, you begin to see, no, this exists in the male community and population almost more than the female community population. And I can't speak on behalf of men, but do you want to give a little bit of
I would say body dysmorphia is a definite thing in the gym. And with guys, obviously it doesn't work in the same way that it works for women, but it still works in the same sort of mental capacity that it gets into guys' heads. And whenever they look into the mirror, they never feel good enough. And you're constantly comparing yourself to those around you. And, there's an unrealistic standard that has been set both for women and for men. But I feel like for men, it's a different type of body.
Definitely.
But it's still unreasonable. Yeah. And they don't really give you the information as to what it actually takes to get that body.
Yes.
And if it is even realistic.
True. So. And I can't speak, obviously, I'm going to speak from a female perspective. And it's always the females that send me these questions. I don't think I'll ever have a male that's like, can you speak about body image issues? I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Even a guy to a guy, it's a difficult conversation to have, right?
Yeah, but I want to start off, first of all, by acknowledging the fact that culture plays a huge role in this. Okay, so we're talking about an aesthetic. We're talking about a body image. So this is going to differ from place to place and country to country and person to person. However, I want to put this into a little bit of a context. I was born and raised in LA. Let's start at point 1. Point 2, I'm Lebanese. I don't think anyone understands the social pressure to live in LA as a Lebanese woman. Like, it's just La La Land plus unrealistic expectations combined with a culture of aesthetics, pure aesthetics. It's so aesthetically centered that it really doesn't even matter about what kind of content you bring into a conversation or to the world or the people around you. As long as you look good, you're gonna do good. And it's so heavily worshipped. It's worth it, and it's so accessible because in LA and in the Lebanese culture, it's all about how you look and how you present yourself. It's a lot like that in other cultures, but I'm going to speak about how growing up in LA and being a Lebanese woman really played with my head about what it means to look beautiful, to be pretty.
You know, it's crazy that you say that, because for those who don't know, I'm originally from Sydney, and there are so many Lebanese people in Sydney.
Yes.
And I've grown up with the Lebanese culture.
Right.
And I know what you're talking about,
Yes.
because I've grown up with it.
Yeah.
And I know that it's the always looking at what your neighbor's doing,
course.
always comparing yourself
Of
to
course.
others. Oh, they had this type of wedding, so we have to do it better. We can't have our wedding at this place because they had their wedding at this place. And it's like, it got crazy. And I was like,
It
what
gets
is going
crazier.
on?
It gets crazier. It's about just how you present yourself as a woman. Women in Lebanon have this social pressure to look perfect when we're out, because it's everyone's looking like this. There's no one that's leaving the house without looking like they're in tip-top form. So aesthetics were ingrained in my mind at a very young age, to the point where even now, like when I'm on Instagram, I'm not even talking about myself. I'm talking about like a matcha picture. If I'm going to post a matcha picture on my story, it better be perfect. It's going to be aesthetic. There's going to be lighting. There's going to be a good filter on it.
There's no post and ghost. No post and ghost.
No, it's post and check how fire that content was. But it's because it's been ingrained in my mind. So the social pressure of being a woman in general in this day and age, we're bombarded with mixed messages. It used to be skinny is what it is. Now it's no, you have to look strong, but you have to be skinny. And now it's so confusing because you have to have
Curves.
now
It's all
you
about
have
the
to have
curves,
curves,
yeah.
but somehow I need to still be skinny, but have the curves. So I'm talking to a plastic surgeon right now, trying to figure out how I'm going to get the best of both worlds. Like, realistically speaking,
It's so common now.
It
Like
is.
plastic surgery back in the day was not something, you know, it would be very
Taboo.
rare.
It'd be taboo.
No one talked about it. It was like, okay, it's not a real thing.
now it's day to day.
Yeah, it's everyone.
And I don't want to slam people who do plastic surgery. I'm like, you do you, girl. Like, if this is going to make you feel good and you're doing it for yourself and it's going to make you happy, fine. On the flip side of that, there are people who are just obsessed with plastic surgery, and it just becomes the body
like an
dysmorphic.
addiction, right?
It is.
It's like
It
an
is
addiction.
because it's so easy. I can skip the part where I have to put in the work, and I can get liposuction and abs in 6 hours, and I can walk out of this hospital with a six-pack that someone took 5 years to make and a lot of discipline. But I can pay someone to do this for me. So my struggle with growing up was that I was always a chubby child. And my parents made it very evident.
Did you have a nickname?
No, but I was not allowed to eat certain foods
Oh, really?
because they were going to make me unhealthy and fat. And they never use the word unhealthy. It's going to make me fat. So my skinny sister was always my little send to, like, I want pizza. Can you ask mom and dad to get me pizza? And she's like, yeah, let's go. And then they're looking at her, you want pizza or Adele wants pizza? And I really want to talk about how important it is, because I am a mother now, how important it is to ingrain healthy eating habits in your children and a healthy relationship with food. So when it comes to my girls, I've never said, no, you can't have that. I've made sure that the environment around them doesn't have it to exist. So why am I asking my daughter not to eat a bag of chips when that bag of chips is in my house? Obviously, this is accepted in my
Don't
household.
bring them to my place.
You're not allowed to. No, but it's why am I letting this be accessible to them if I don't want them to eat it? So this is creating an unhealthy conversation. No, you can't have that. But they're watching mommy eat the chips and they're like, but why can't I have it? So creating and fostering healthy habits and a healthy way of thinking about food and a healthy relationship with food is so essential to growing up, because I never had that. And it was always like, I need to eat in private and I need to eat what I want without people knowing, but it was showing. I mean, obviously, you can't hide what you eat in private in public, right? It's always there somewhere. And then I became a swimmer, and I was always, you have to be aqua dynamic. You have to be super thin and long, streamlined. You have to be streamlined. I wasn't streamlined. I was a girl with curves. So everything was harder for me, you know? And no matter how much
I'm black, so I'm negatively buoyant. That's my excuse for not being able to swim.
I'm not going to continue that conversation. I'd be canceled. But the thing is just, it was always against me. And I was always training, but I was eating more than I was training. But that was just my chapter in my life. But I would look at myself in a swimsuit. I'd look at myself in the mirror and I'd be like, why don't I look like that girl? That girl's swimming like me, but I'm obviously not putting in the eating habits that I needed to look like that. So when I think back on my journey, I remember I was always disappointed by the girl that I looked in the mirror and who that I saw in the mirror. And it was always a comparison to my skinny friends who are genetically skinny. We're not even talking about someone who's in the gym. These girls eat and eat and eat and eat, and it never shows. It's genetics.
It does catch up though eventually.
Yeah, it hasn't caught up yet. Waiting for menopause today on these girls. but it's sometimes easier. I want to make sure that women out there especially know that hormones we know this. Hormones play a role. Genetics play a role. It's just sometimes people are it's easier for them. And we're comparing ourselves to someone who has a completely different genetic code than we are. And it's maddening to me that someone comes up and is like, I want to look like this. Let's talk about why they look like that. Because I've done both extremes. I've done the extreme of being in a deficit, a huge deficit of calories in my day. And arguably, people would probably say till now, that was the best I looked.
When you say deficit, how much of a deficit are we speaking?
It was dangerously low. There was a point where it was
1500s?
Yeah, somewhere around that. And I was training.
Oh my God.
Yes. And, and this is what was the mixed signal in my brain, because I'm feeling depleted. I'm tired every day. I wake up tired. I start my day tired. I'm training tired. I have no energy in me, but everyone's applauding me. Everyone's like, you look great. You look amazing. What's your secret? And I'm like, I'm starving.
My body is dying. Actually,
it is.
Your body is dying.
It is. On that kind of deficit, you're not healthy. But the thing is, that's what people think healthy looks like. This is the script we need to flip in society. And I didn't care about what my body could do. I was more concerned about how my body looked. Now, it's been flipped. I'm more concerned of how my body performs, what my body can do, more so than...
How you feel?
Better. But do you know how frightening it was to get to this point? I had a moment where I obviously wanted to change the way I was training. I moved from functional fitness, which is a little easier to do on a deficit, into CrossFit, which is impossible to do on a deficit. But I didn't understand this. So I was in the CrossFit gym. I was doing the classes. I'm like, why am I not doing well? And then I had a friend come up to me and he's like, do you want to start eating? And I'm like, I eat a lot of salads. I make sure I have chicken in them. And he's looking at me like, that's it? Like, you eat salads and chicken? Or I eat sometimes meat too. Like, I'm trying to convince. He's like, what about carbs? I'm like, the carbs I get from my salads and my fruits. I was not eating bread at all.
Wow. No
bread. There was no bread in my diet. It was a 0 bread diet. And I would sometimes smell bread.
And then put it away.
It was such an unhealthy, and I was always afraid if I eat that bread, all of this is going to go away. You're just, one piece of bread isn't going to reverse all of the time that you did to put in the work. Just like one salad is not going to get you the results that you want. But in my head, it was always a fear. If I eat that, what's going to happen? If I eat that, what's going to happen? Because it was ingrained in me in a very young age.
I think that it's just become a culture and a stigma that carbs are bad for you. Fats are bad for you.
Carbs are just amazing. Speaking from a person who's back on carbs. And he's just like, you can't do well. You can't perform the way you want to perform in CrossFit like this. And a lot of other sports. But I'm talking personally, like, this was the shift. I will tell you, the most frightening part was when I started eating more, because I mentally had to prepare myself first for things to start, like the six pack to start disappearing, for things in my closet to start feeling tighter, right? For things in my closet to possibly not fit me anymore, and for the number on the scale to go up.
That's a big one.
This is
especially
huge.
for women. Especially for women.
This is huge. I needed to prep myself mentally, and I didn't start this right away. I had to talk to myself for around 3 weeks before I agreed to myself that I'm going to start eating on a surplus. Okay, so the surplus is different than a deficit. So deficit, you're trying to eat less than what you need, or more less than you need to get the cut that you want. That's cutting basically. But when you're trying to bulk or gain, you're in a surplus. So you're eating more than your threshold. You're trying to get more in. And both extremes are very difficult. I'm going to say there was a point where I didn't want to look at food anymore because I was just eating and eating and eating. And I wasn't even hungry, but I had to eat. And like I said, the changes began to come in because I have a body that likes to hold on to things. I'm not the type that burns things right away. It's one of those bodies that's like, takes work to take off the weight. And I was looking at myself in the mirror every morning and I was like, no.
I worked so hard.
I worked so hard for years, and in just a few weeks, this is beginning. It's leaving me, and it was a moment where I was scared because I didn't want to go back to a place where I wasn't happy with how I looked in the mirror. That's a dark place to be, and many people do that every day. They look at themselves and they microanalyze everything, and they could be the most aesthetically pleasing person, but they'll nitpick at something. Oh, my nose. Oh, my hair. Oh, my eyebrows. Oh, this hip. Oh, that little extra skin. And I will speak as a mother as well because I was pregnant twice. So those changes in my body were frightening because I was also in the fitness world during that time. And I had to maintain my physique somehow. So I was working out while I was pregnant because I was cleared by my doctors and it was totally fine for me to lift weights. So I was lifting weights up until 33 weeks. And then usually it's like 36, 38 is when you give birth. So I continued to work out, but it felt good and it made my body feel good. And it wasn't about how I looked. It was more about I need to stay healthy for my children, for my unborn baby, for myself, right? After I gave birth, it was a disaster. No one prepares you mentally and tells you you're going to still look pregnant 4 weeks later. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, this baby's gone.
What's in there?
What's happening to me? And then, you always say, oh, it took you 9 months to grow this baby. It's going to take you 9 months out. This is an appalling expectation for women because it's 9 months in, 9 months out. Now that sets an unrealistic expectation. And my goal was to bounce back. And I did it in the worst way possible. I was like, oh, I'm just going to go back on my deficit. And mind you, my body's still healing. And
you have a child.
And I have a child that I need to take care of, right? But no, I want to look pretty again. And I want to go back to my 6-packs again. And it's completely disregarding the fact that my body just went through a trauma. And I'm like, how fast can I get these abs back? Well, I got them back in 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, but this is not something I would not in a healthy way. And I would never, ever advise another woman to do what I did. That was a mistake because I was exhausted all the time, had no energy for my child. Obviously you'd have to take care of them, but
it consumes you. Right?
It consumes you. And then you stop being able to take care of yourself, So when you see these women bounce back, okay, first of all, they have a fitness background. Okay. So for all my 20-something-year-olds who have not joined a gym yet, if there's any reason for you to join a gym is to build healthy habits now. So later, if you want to continue to look the way that you look right now, it's going to take work before you have your family and your children to look like that later. Because obviously you have the muscles, you have the muscle memory, but you're never going to look the same again. That's the reality of it. Some of us are just genetically prone to having stretch marks. Some of us are just genetically prone to having cellulite. And these all come out during pregnancy. So this is prep work. Like your relationship with yourself before you even think about having children is so important because it's going to be amplified once you have children. And especially because I have girls, you want to be an example. right? You don't want to be that person that's always looking in the mirror and breaking themselves down, because if your daughter did that in front of you, that would break your heart, you know? So it's mind-boggling, the things that we do to ourselves as women.
Isn't it amazing that these things that you speak of stem from things that happened in your childhood?
Yeah, exactly.
And they allowed you to understand what to do and what not to do now.
Yes.
So I think it's a good thing. And I think that, like, especially us as second generation children, our parents migrated, and they only knew a certain thing and a certain way of life. So they weren't exposed to as much as we're exposed to.
Yes.
And now it's our opportunity to break that.
Yes.
And reteach the next generation that, look, I'm not blaming my parents because they didn't know any better.
Exactly.
But now that I have the knowledge and understanding, I need to break this.
They did what was best for me, what they believed was best for me. I genuinely believe that. And then now I know better, so I have to do better. I have a responsibility to my girls. So when that phase in my life kind of shifted, so now I've had my girls. Now I'm back to my bounce back body. I don't look like I have kids yet. You know, like it's unreal that this is the expectation. I want to sincerely apologize to people if I'm being a face for what a woman should be after giving birth. That's not what I want to project to people. I don't want people to think, oh, if I don't have a six-pack after having kids, I failed. No, it's about loving your body the way it is, and it's easier said than done. Even in this body, there are sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, but I catch myself now. And I'm like, Adele, focus. What's your goal right now? Your goal is to perform. Your goal is to be strong. And now I'm very mindful of how I speak to other women. So in the gym, if I'm telling someone, I don't tell them you look good. I tell them you look strong. Look at you. Because I'm not focusing on the aesthetic part of how they look. I'm trying to focus on what your body can do. And that's flipping the vocabulary so that they're mindful. It's not about how I look. It's about
how you feel.
It's how you feel.
I always ask, how do you feel?
Exactly. And when someone comes up to me and is like, I want to lose the weight, I'm like, this is going to be a difficult journey. There's no sugarcoating.
You got to change your thinking first.
Yes, exactly. Because no matter how much weight you're going to lose, you're going to still see yourself as the person that you're never going to see the change. You're looking at yourself in the mirror every day. Other people might tell you, wow, you're looking great, but you won't believe them.
And you know, another thing is sometimes, which is most of the time, the number on the scale is going to go up. Right.
I want to touch on that for sure, because
I think it's an important factor.
Because I was I'll say the weight. I was 58 kilos last year, and everyone was like, I said, applauding me for looking so great. I am now 65 kilos. I'm 7 kilos heavier, and the last time I was 65 kilos, I was 7 months pregnant with my girls. Okay, I looked at that number, and for the first time, I was happy.
It's about composition.
Yes.
What is it made of?
Yes, because I didn't expect 65 to look like this. I thought I'd be huge.
Rounder.
Yeah, rounder, a little more fluffier. But you know what? It was years and years and years of building habits, building discipline, being in the gym, that now when I eat, it's going to the muscle, right? So when you're wondering how am I going to look like this? Maybe you can do a detox. Maybe you can do a fad diet, but the moment you stop, it's all gonna come back.
It's a boomerang.
It's fast. It's fast. It's not even like a month later. It's a week later. It's about building habits, and it's about building habits that are tailored to you. So I cannot give you a one-size-fits-all solution to how you're gonna be happy with your body. But I did hear something once on another podcast, because we listen to other podcasts, and one of the women was talking about how she put a picture of herself, her favorite picture of herself as a child, on her mirror. And then every morning she would look in that mirror and she'd see this, like on the corner of her eye, that picture of the child. And the moment she started speaking poorly or thinking negative thoughts about herself, she imagined that she was talking to that girl. And you would not speak that way to a child. So you need to put that inner child out there, because that's usually the wounded part of you. And you put it on your mirror and you talk to her every day. What would you want her to know? What would you want her to feel? And it changes the way you think about yourself. I mean, if this is one practice that I would advise, it works. I'm not going to be able to change the way you see yourself. And yes, there's always room for improvement. I don't believe that someone who is severely overweight and has health problems should be told that, oh, it's okay, you look like this. No, there are changes that need to be made, but they need to make sense to you. How you eat needs to make sense to you. How you train, where you train, how you move your body needs to make sense to you. But as a woman, I will say strength training is probably the most frightening thing to tell a woman to do because we have this stigma that if I lift weights, I'm going to look like a man.
I'm going to get bulky.
I'm going to get bulky.
I don't want to get bulky. I don't want to get bulky. If I had $1
for every time. And I look at these women, I'm like, that's impossible. the amount that you would be eating and the protein intake that you're going to be taking and the hormones that you're going to be injecting yourself with is what is going to make you look bulky. These athletes that you see,
they're super athletes.
Yeah, and they're not working out 1 hour a day. They're working out 2 a days, 6 hours a day. They are eating more than you can fathom. And they're taking supplements on top of that and whatever other juju juice they're on. I don't know. But, these are not typical women who just go to the gym for 1 hour. If you go to the gym for 1 hour and lift weights as a woman, you will see results faster than cardio. Every woman runs to cardio. It's also like,
guys too.
Yeah. I want to sweat. I want to feel like my heart was going to beat out of my chest. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's great for losing calories. But if you want to build muscle and if you want to get strong, and if you want to have the physique of those nice arms, those nice legs, that nice booty that girls want, it's not going to happen busting out 1,000 calories on a cardio class. That's not how this happens. Eating salads with chicken.
I get my protein through my chicken. I get
my protein through my half breast of chicken cut up in teeny tiny pieces. No, you're going to get it through lifting the weights, heavy weights. Don't be afraid. Once you're at that point where you feel like these weights are getting easier, add a little. And I always make this a point in my ladies class, especially when I'm coaching them. I see them flying through these dumbbells like it's light work. And I'm like, let's try a heavier weight. And they look at me like, oh, how dare you ask me to? And I'm just like, let's try it.
I'm a woman.
I don't want to look like a man. And I'm like, let's try it out. The proud moment on their faces that they can lift that weight.
And it's endorphins, man. It's just this jolt of energy.
And all of a sudden they're sweating more.
Yeah.
Their heart rate's picking up. I'm like, yeah, that's what it feels like to lift.
That's lightweight, baby.
Yeah. No, so that I'm you know what? Like sometimes in the gym, we're not just coaching bodies, we're coaching mentalities.
100%. We're fortifying your mind.
We are. And the way we speak to you and the way we encourage you is such a big part of that. Whatever I'm encouraging in you is what you're going to take out of this gym. So I'm actually coaching your mind. I'm coaching your mentality. I'm trying to make you okay and brave enough to go out of your comfort zone. The fear of just, I'm going to look like a man if I go to the gym. I'm going to tell you right now, ladies, it's impossible. It's not going to happen. Go lift those weights. It helps your joints in the long run. It helps your bones stay strong because women suffer from osteoporosis from 40 onwards. But you want to reverse aging, especially as women, because our bodies go through a little more because we obviously, if we're fortunate enough, we have children, correct? And this ages you drastically. But if you move and you are putting in the work and just making your body healthy from now, and I'm not talking about in your 30s, start early. If you're in your 20s and you're listening to this, find something that's going to make you move because it is so important to build these habits at a young age. So they're just with you. It's no longer, what am I going to do? It's just part of your day. It's part of your lifestyle. So I really genuinely believe that body image is something that no matter what you preach to it, it's going to always be an issue. And there are going to be good days and bad days. Every person's going to have a day where they look at themselves and just like, oh my God.
It's everybody.
It's everybody. And it's also that athlete that you see that looks perfect. They are suffering from this as well. They're comparing themselves to others constantly. So don't think this doesn't exist in people who you think are fit and healthy. If anything, if it is a beast that we have to silence every day. And to get to a healthy place, it's a journey. Like we said, ups and downs. There's going to be days where you feel like you're soaring, you look good, you feel good, everything feels great. And then there are days where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I doing this? I don't see any results. This isn't happening for me. But I just want you to keep on doing it. It's all about the consistency. Your body will thank you, not 5 weeks from now.
Your mind will thank you too. You
Exactly.
fortify your mind
Yeah.
and you fortify your body.
100%. But it's not going to thank you 5 weeks from now. It's going to thank you 5 years from now.
Yeah. Improve your quality of life,
Everything.
longevity of life.
Everything. There's just the quality. You're going to have more energy. Surprisingly enough, when you spend your energy at the gym, you gain that energy elsewhere. You are more active in your life. We are mostly in sedentary jobs. Let's be honest. Most of us work desk jobs. How do you feel when you get up off that chair? You've been sitting all day. You feel like I'm even more tired than when I woke up this morning. But then you go and move your body and all of a sudden you're re-energized. It's like you gave yourself a new day almost. It's like that shot of endorphins, that shot of caffeine that you got in that gym. And I'm like, wow, I can do something after this. It's crazy. We think it's the opposite. We think, oh, after this workout, I'm going to be smashed. I kid you not, every person that walks out of that gym walks
They
out.
have more energy than what they
More
came
energy
in
than when they
with.
came in. They
Yeah.
walk in like zombies. They come out like warriors. It's insane. It's insane. So it's gonna be a lot. I don't think this is something that's ever gonna change because the ideal of beauty is ever changing.
And I also think that it's a conversation that's never going to end.
It's not.
either. It's going to constantly come up, and then we're just going to have to re-implement what we say. Just like
Definitely.
how we repeat ourselves to everybody
Of
that
course.
carbs are not bad,
Yes.
calories are not always bad.
Exactly.
You know, weight training is not always bad. Like all of these things, and we get the same questions over and over again.
Exactly.
So
And
the more
it's-
exposure, the better.
And
right?
it's not until you try it out that you're going to be convinced. I can preach all day and I can tell you, but if you're not convinced, you're not going to do it. If you're not willing to take that first step, you're going to find a million excuses. Well, I can't afford it, or I can't. But yet you can afford Talabat every day.
Objections, man. We're full of objections.
We are.
When it comes
Oh.
to something hard, it's very easy to make objections to it.
If I were to tell you the amount of times that people have spent money outside of the gym, and it's the same as one membership, a month's membership,
membership,
a
yeah.
monthly membership, you spent it on a day. If you
A
put
meal,
a meal,
a bag, a pair of
bag.
shoes.
Exactly,
like,
which
so
is
many
fine.
things.
Treat
Yeah,
yourself.
of
Like I'm
course.
all about this, but don't make that an
Isn't
excuse.
it funny how we justify things in our head financially?
Of course, of course.
We never make that comparison. We always like, no, it's okay if I go out to eat dinner with my friends and spend, $500-600.
Yeah,
It's okay. But when it comes to a membership for a gym and you look at a monthly price of $500-600, you're like, oh, this is a lot.
but you're investing in yourself. See, this is where you need to also
Change your thinking.
change your thinking. I'm making an investment in myself. That food's gonna go away. Like that, I ate it. It's gone. That purse or those pairs of shoes.
It's temporary.
It's temporary. Next year there's gonna be a different one. Okay, treat yourself. Again, treat yourself.
100%.
But invest in yourself as well. These aren't the investments. The investments are long term. Long term. You're not gonna see them now.
And what's the biggest, like, what's more of an investment than an investment in your health?
Exactly. And the problem with that is that there's no instant gratification.
That's right.
We're in a culture,
We got to untrain this,
but we're in a culture of instant gratification. Like double tap. It's a double tap kind of culture.
Food, Talabat,
Exactly.
bang. Uber,
Exactly.
bang.
And now you're trying to convince me that I have to spend months in the gym. I want instant gratification. I want it instantly. And we're beginning to become a society
It's like a superficial.
and just has no patience for
Yeah,
anything.
exactly.
Nothing.
No.
I don't even have to wait to see a movie on the screen. I can just download it on my TV. Like I don't have to go out of my house anymore.
No.
And even, and this is the funny part, even if I had put a home workout on my, how many people are going to do it?
Exactly.
It might last a week. It might last maybe 2 weeks. But who's going to stick to it without accountability, right? So it's a lot. It's a lot about society. It's a lot about the culture, but it's also about your mentality, your mindset,
Breaking the stigmas.
breaking the
attached,
stigmas,
yeah.
and that's a journey. And each person's journey is going to be different. Each woman's journey is going to be different. I just want us to start at least with positively talking about ourselves. Stop focusing on what we look like, and let's talk about something that matters a little more. Yes, it's important. At the end of the day, this is the body we live in. This is the body that the vessel that holds our soul, right? But we don't want it just to be. We don't want it just to look good. We want it to feel good. We want it to be good. It's all good vibes, right?
100%. 100%.
I'm going to leave it at that. I think I'm going to leave it at this point.
Yeah. I think we can go on more and more about it.
But I think I hit the points that I wanted to hit.
Definitely.
I hope this was helpful to whoever needed to hear this today. And you're glowing and growing, okay? Keep growing, keep glowing. And I'm going to finish this matcha. And I'll see you on the next episode. Bye, everyone.